been teaching the Women's Wisdom course at the Awareness Institute in Sydney for a while now. My name's Jackie Bushell, and I've been working with inviting women to connect with the Divine Feminine, to connect with the Divine Sacred for about 20 years now, and I feel it's something that's incredibly important. It's like that sense of the Divine Feminine is just coming so much more strongly back into the world. It's like the Earth Mother at this time is just stamping her foot and saying this is enough. What we've been doing to the earth, what we've been eating, what we've been putting into our bodies, what we've been teaching our children, what we've been trained in here in the West over the last several hundred years, and stepping into that mechanistic, that limited mind model, that narrowing down our field of emotions, narrowing down ways of expressing ourselves, ways of connecting. It's dangerous, it's poisonous, it's limiting, narrowing, it's like it kills our soul. So this invitation for us to connect with that greater dance of our being, that song of our soul, I think it's something that people, that not just women, but every being is yearning for in our hearts. It's like coming back home to that heart fire of ourself, and touching that sense of divine, touching that sense of sacred in our being, which will then have a flow-on effect to how we're treating the world. If we're in touch with ourselves, with our heart, and with that fire that enlivens us, if we're in touch with our sense of the sacred and with the divine, then we can't put plastics into waste piles. We can't poison the sea to what 95% of it is polluted. We can't keep burning down forests. We can't keep killing in the way that we're doing. This is a return to coming back to a way of nourishing and nurturing ourselves, a way of living in the full expression of our emotional self, a way of living in harmony with our true self, our true potential. So I've been writing these courses and inviting women to come along into a space where we can connect in our own way, in an empowering way, with our sense of the goddess, our sense of the earth as a living being, as our sense of connection with other people, with animals, and with the life force within everything. It's like this, at this time, the call is so strong to remember and to honour what we traditionally have related to feminine energies, to connecting with and our intuition, to connecting with a greater range of emotional expression, to getting in touch with our rage, our despair, our heartbreak. I think every person on the planet at this time is traumatised. We're living in a world that there has just been so many genocides, there's been so much pain, so much levels of suffering, that I think one of the ways that people have dealt with that is by closing off and shutting down our heart. So I see so many books and courses and experiences that people are writing about and singing about and painting about are about coming into that, I keep mentioning the heart, is that coming back into that heart space of how can we live in an open-hearted way? How can we live in our hearts in the world with the world as it is at the moment? So how can we live in that passionate, loving space of deep connection? How can we live in our heart? How can we come back to that centered space where we can experience that deep sense of love and that experience of living within grace and taking that into action? That's what I'm inviting these courses to be about. It's a call to not just have a wonderful spiritual experience of divine connection, which so many people do have, but taking that experience and taking that connection that we have within the group and within our community and taking it into a way of acting in the world, a way of taking that love and that compassion and the wisdom that we innately have, trusting ourselves that we can act in a way that will support our planet, our community, our people, our families, our animals, all of our loved ones. So the courses are about a way of getting in contact with our bodies, with our bodies physically, our creativity, our sense of spirit, whatever that might be to each individual person, a way of connecting in our own way, in our own perceptual style, with our sense of the earth, and connecting with a greater awareness of developing sacred space and ceremony. I think as humans, we're just so steeped for millennia. We've been steeped in ritual, we've been steeped in our sense of connection with others, we've been steeped in stories. So I think working with myth, working with the great stories that crisscross the planet, that are across all cultures, they touch such ancient parts of our being that supports us in awakening and remembering what we truly are, and the aliveness of our being, the aliveness of our soul. I think everything on this planet, everything that grows, everything that blossoms and blooms, every critter, every plant, it doesn't ever just half show up. It doesn't ever think, oh no, yawn today, I might not blossom so much. Everything within nature shows up 100%. Everything in nature is just as alive as it possibly can be. It's only us as humans that limit ourselves, that create facades and stories and stop us being 100% present. So I think that connecting with the sacred, connecting with the divine feminine, is a way of supporting us coming into a greater experience of presence of self, our presence of awareness, and being present with others. I think one of the things that I myself have been working with and encouraging others to do is how well are we listening? How well are we listening to other people? How well are we, how much are we present with whatever it is that we're talking to, whatever it is that we're sitting with, whether it's a tree, whether it's our cat, whether it's our cranky, irritable mother who's driving us nuts, whether it's a flower in the garden. It's an invitation for us to show up and be present in every cell, in every fibre of our being. And that's what supports our aliveness, our energy flow. One of the biggest things that I hear is how tired people are, how exhausted they are, how overwhelmed, how much fatigue they have. Fatigue is one of the biggest presenting symptoms coming into naturopaths or doctors' offices. And I was listening to a talk by, let's see, who was saying it the other day? Blank for a moment. David White. I was listening to a talk by David White the other day, and one of the quotes that he had, and this is also a quote from one of Rumi's poems as well, is the antidote for exhaustion is passion. The antidote for exhaustion is living passionately and passionately engaging with things. And that this supports the chi flow through our body, and all of this supports the chi flow through the earth and supports us in our yearning to come home to ourselves, our yearning to come home to ourselves and to the planet and to our connection, to live as humans, to live in spirit. So if you'd like to find out a bit more about the courses and what we're doing with the Women's Wisdom course that we're running at the Awareness Institute, is we're actually over a year. Each course is 6 weeks, but we're following the 4 different elements. So we're working with the element of fire in our being and that passionate aliveness in our being. We're working with connections with the earth element, and with water and with air. And working with ceremony and creativity and guided meditations, journey visualization work, and some of the great myths as well. So if you'd like to find out any more, then you can either call the Awareness Institute or check out our website, which is www.awarenessinstitute.com.au.